just a little bit of history from, as I understand it. E&G have really two major goals. E's main goal is to make the cost for development to their mitigation up front rather than at the back end of the development. Key thing here is that I watched so many developments come in, either bankrupt at the end and not put in their mitigation, or they paid in monies that were for mitigation. The county then went and spent that money in other places, and then the county no longer had the money for that mitigation. And so over and over again I saw this, and then when I came here I saw what happened with the Silver Valley interchange, that this money had been paid in and over, and it wasn't until Blackstone came in and they finally made Blackstone pay the additional so that we could get that interchange put in. So, a big thing for E is to make sure that up front that mitigation is there, not at the back end. Big thing for that is that you, the taxpayers, aren't paying for it. When that happens at the back end, many times the county has to come back to you and say, hey, the costs have risen over and above what we budgeted for, and we need you to pay now. G's big thing is that it resets the housing densities for the 2004 general plan. This is the thing that scares the developers the most, because it cuts into what their bottom line would be. It doesn't prevent growth, but as an example, you've got, I've got to look at the pieces here. You've got the development that's over there off of Green Valley. That's 600 homes. From what I understand,
Dixon Ranch, my name.
Dixon Ranch, thanks. From what I understand, that's 600 homes. Under the old 2004 plan, that would be limited to no more than 200. What was the other one? Oh, sorry, I lost mine. So, sorry, Marble Valley, I'm sorry. So as I was looking at Marble Valley, again, 3,200 homes, but from what I understand, it was originally zoned, and that's been in a general plan, it was set up for 800. So it's not that it's no growth. There's growth in there, there's homes that can be built in there. It's just not the higher density that the developers are after. So this isn't necessarily a no growth. This is more of a controlled, hey, let's try and set this up so that the density, so we do retain the nature of why we moved here. There's some other things in here. So one of the things with the density was, I said, why make such a big deal about that? And I thought about that, and I said, the problem here is that even if I throw in that kind of a dense development, what's the impact going to be? And I looked at it and I said, well, you're going to have a lot of services that you're going to have to provide for these areas. And the problem with this area is that you're not going to have ever the density required to generate major business here to pay for those services. So you're going to end up with more of a financial sink for the county rather than an actual help. It will help you initially when they get the developments in, but I watched what happened in Chico when we were there, and they put a lot of housing in, but they didn't have the jobs. Now those roads in there are in horrible shape. It's been 20 years. The city can't maintain the roads in there, yet they're bringing in other housing and they're putting in other things because that's the only thing still driving that economy in there. So It's really this idea that housing brings growth is not necessarily true. It's business that brings growth. That's where we need to have our focus from our business leaders, is to bring in new businesses, not new housing, or bring in a higher. Just last, one of the things that I think of is we also moved to Boulder, and this is where my change came in. We watched what happened in Boulder County. Boulder County put in a initiative. They hit the same crossroads back in the late 60s that we have here. They decided to go in and restrict water to various areas of the county, various areas around the city. They also went in and agreed to tax themselves specifically for buying up key pieces of property that were important for them. This money could only be used for that one particular purpose. And what they did is they've created an area now that is one of the most wealthy areas of Colorado. And it's also one of the most desired places to live. So it doesn't necessarily mean that restricting the growth is going to hurt. It just means you have to look at things a little bit different. Thanks.
Do you have more time or?
No, please?
Here.
No.
Are
And
you
can
done with
each,
the whole
please.
presentation? Isn't Lori going to speak?
Well, she can speak eventually. Have questions?
Yeah, that was a good intro. Okay, we'll be happy.
Please.
My name is Kim Beal. I've lived here in El Dorado County for 50 years, and I work in El Dorado County. I'm fortunate to be able to do that as well. Since 1987, the county has spent more than $35 million working on land use planning documents that are required by the state of California. Up until the early 1980s, El Dorado County had 24 area plans. They had these mini plans for every community. El Dorado Hills had its own, Cameron Park had its own, etc. In the late 80s, we were told can't do that. One general plan for the entire county. It took us until 1996 to get that plan put in place. Unfortunately, 1 month after it was filed and adopted by the county, there was a group of people that sued on the general plan. It went to court, took 3 years to be reviewed by the court, but the Superior Court then imposed a writ of mandate against our general plan. They found 12 deficiencies in the EIR document. And because of that, they imposed the writ, and the writ stayed in place until the next general plan was adopted. In 2001, rather than fixing the deficiencies, our county decided to process an entirely new general plan, so that's the path we went down. And finally, by 2004, they approved a brand new general plan, a new EIR was certified, and 1 month later, a group of disgruntled people said that they wanted to put it on the ballot for the voters to look at. And so in March 2005, this general plan here went before the voters under what was called Measure B. And thankfully, the voters here in El Dorado County passed this general plan document, and it's the general plan we still use today. In September 2005 then, it took many months for the court to review this document in the EIR, and they said, yep, El Dorado County, good job, go to work. So this 2004 general plan has 13 components. It includes a vision statement and 9 elements, most of them required by the state. This general plan addresses the following: land use, transportation and circulation, housing, public services and utilities, public health, safety and noise, conservation and open space, agriculture and forestry, parks and recreation, and economic development. Pretty broad spectrum. There are over 1,000 policies in this general plan, and additionally there are goals, objectives, and implementation measures. This, since the date it was put into place in 2005 until December 15th, 2015, the county approved 71 amendments to the general plan policies. That's it, 71 in 11 years. Measures E and G proposed 35 policy changes in 1 day. In 2006, under the implementation, the county started working on the zoning ordinance. In 2009, they did the first 5-year review of the general plan. It's required every 5 years. By 2011, they passed resolutions and targeted general plan amendments, decided to create an entire new zoning ordinance code, and they decided that it was time that we rezoned parcels inconsistent with the general plan to bring them into consistency, which is what all other counties in the state of California do. From 2008 to 2015, the county engaged the public in the following manners. They held nearly 200 publicly noticed meetings. Those meetings took place at the Board of Supervisors 90 times, and they provided direction and action on 40 of those occasions. The Planning Commission held 50 meetings, the Agricultural Commission 10 meetings. The Community and Economic Development Advisory Committee had 40 meetings. There were 13 community presentations that took place, 2 of them in El Dorado Hills, and also in Cameron Park, Poole, El Dorado, Placerville, Camino, Somerset, and South Lake Tahoe. They went out to the community. They didn't just have all the meetings in the county supervisor's office up in Placerville. In addition, the way they kept the public engaged is they dedicated a project homepage, and just for the general plan update and the zoning. They also put all public notices on there for these items I just referenced, and 1,300 times they updated this homepage in just 3 years. The way that they were also notified the public is through legal notices in our local major newspapers, including the El Dorado Hills Village Live, press releases, our project webpage already mentioned, postings to the county's homepage, right on the first page when you go to the county website. They use social media, email, and direct mailings to people that ask for it. They've posted flyers in every post office at all times too, and they were posted outside the buildings of the public centers and in the libraries. Finally, the meetings are all videotaped when they're at the Board of Supervisors. So you could either watch it online from your computer while the meeting is taking place, or if you can't do that, when you get home or get before a computer, you can watch it after the fact. The video is kept online with the county web pages, and at any time anybody can look at them. Finally, the county also did comply with public noticing requirements under the California Environmental Quality Act for the Environmental Impact Report. And as a matter of fact, they went to greater lengths than they needed to. This all culminated with December 15th, 2015, a new EIR being certified, the general plan amendments were approved, the new zoning ordinance was adopted, and the county rezoned 8,075 parcels of land to bring them into consistency with the general plan, which is only 6% of the county. For residential parcels that were rezoned, what the county did was they took the land use designation in the general plan, and where they had a range of density for the parcel sizes, they went with the minimum size parcel for the zoning rather than the maximum. Last week, the Board of Supervisors now has started the next 5-year update, because it has been 10 years since our general plan is in place. So I watched online last week that first meeting, and they did an overview of what are we going to be doing during this next update. First thing they pointed out is that California Government Code requires that the county annually report what they're doing with the general plan to the state of California. So we do have a policy in the general plan that says just that. Annually, they'll monitor the general plan and report. Secondarily, it says that every 5 years they'll do a review to identify adjustments that are needed and modifications necessary to meet all of the plan's objectives. This 5-year review includes everything in the general plan, all those subjects I brought up earlier. As to the land use inventory, they'll also look at seeing where it took place. Our general plan is crafted such that the residential growth, 75% of the new homes, are supposed to take place in our urban areas, which we call community regions. And our definition of urban certainly isn't anything like the Bay Area's definition of urban. And 25% of the growth is supposed to take place in our rural regions. Finally, they pointed out that increasing or decreasing development potential in our general plan may only be done by amendments at 5-year intervals. Our county does not have the right on their own to initiate general plan amendments, except for at 5-year intervals. But another interesting point on this same policy in the general plan is it says, this measure shall not preclude any property owner in El Dorado County from requesting a general plan amendment upon submission of the required application. Measures E and G do not propose removing that condition in the general plan. So if E and G are passed, there is still a policy in the general plan, and there's still a state law that says any applicant can come in and ask for a general plan amendment. Thank you.
Where you from? It's not easy to follow. It's not. Thank you.